My name is Chris Reesky, and I'm a quilter. I have found in all of my years of making quilts and teaching people how to make quilts that sometimes the hardest thing is to decide on the colors you want to see in your quilt. So we have a lot of products around us at all times, and they've done a lot of work on color coordinating. So let's go outside and find some things that can help us decide on what colors we want to use. Here we are at one of my favorite shops as far as sign color goes, the 7-Eleven. It has been worked out as beautiful colors for quilts. The green is a beautiful dark pine Christmas green, the red a beautiful bright red, and just a little snippet of orange to add some extra color. But I think the important thing to notice here is in between all of the colors are white lines, and that is important because it's very hard for your eye to look at green and red right next to each other, but with the white in between it's just perfect. And you and I know that 7-Eleven Corporation spent millions to figure all of this out for us to make a beautiful quilt. Here we are at AMPM. I have been threatening to do an AMPM quilt for years, and I still haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. But what I love about this one is the shading of colors, especially the orange, light orange down into the darker red, the light violet down into the dark deep blue. These colors have been around for millennia and work beautifully in quilts, especially when you put them on the light cream or beige background. AMPM, my favorite. Here's a sign on the outside of the AMPM where they've used their colors again. They've gone from the deep dark blue all the way up to the red, but they've emphasized the orange. This is an important point. You can emphasize any color in these products that you choose. I'm not as nuts about the orange, so I think when I make my AMPM quilt, I'm going to emphasize blue. It's one of my favorite colors. We're back in the studio now, and I'm about to show you how I have used products to pick out colors. I was in the grocery store the other day, and there are all kinds of products there that you can get inspiration from a box of Tide to a bottle of Dawn dishwashing liquid. But I decided to let the kid go in me, and I walked down the candy aisle. And this is what I have come up with. Back when I used to teach quilting classes, one of the hardest things my students found was picking colors out. I had one student who was a dear person, and she told me she spent 3 hours in Joann's fabric store trying to pick out the 2 colors for her Irish chain quilt. And I felt so sorry for her. I felt awful because it took her so long to decide on just 2 different colors. So we started talking, and that was kind of how I got the idea of using products, because I know that they have spent lots of time and money picking out these colors. And so one of the funnest things people talked to me about was the Milk Dud quilt. Here, the color, the bright yellow orange with the red with the brown. You wouldn't think about it if you were just working on any bit of color, but it works really well together. You can add or subtract amounts. You can have, as I have here, more than one shade of orange or gold, whatever you want to call it. You can have more than one shade of brown. Actually, this is some leftovers I had that are going to be incorporated in with this. The next one I have here is the Cadbury mini eggs, and I like the idea of the dark purple juxtaposed again with the gold or yellow and red, and I have a couple of shades of red in here. And you can pick and choose as much as you want. I happen to have a lot of orange, but let's say you didn't want that much yellow orange. Just have a little bit. But their colors go together, and if you wanted more purple and just a little bit, like they've done here, you can switch things around and have just a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, and lots of purple. That might be a real rich something to do. This one, again, one of my favorites, excuse me, the Hershey's company. I've often thought I might do someday do a silver and dark brown, but I don't know who would who I'd make it for. But I fell in love with this packaging and all the different shades they've used of brown, the light beige, the more caramel colors, and then the darker browns. And I just went in my stash and started pulling out colors and just went nuts. And although this is just in one color shading, it still works really well that you have a lot of different shades of the brown instead of just one, even though some of them might be that way. The best, not the best, but the most interesting is the Snickers bar, because it shows something that I often try to talk to students about, and that is using complementary colors. Complementary colors are, if you imagine the color wheel is round and you go straight across the color wheel, and in this case blue and orange are complementary colors. And look at this fabric, the blue background with the lovely orange butterflies and dragonflies. It's just a perfect one, and that's what they've done with Snickers. It's blue and an orangey yellow, and you can add, in this instance, just some more solid blue, or in blue that has definition to it, and a little more orange or yellow. And look how they pop. They don't just sit there. They actually make wonderful colors for you in a quilt. I hope this has helped you decide on what colors to use for your next project. We can get inspiration from anything around us: flowers, buildings, advertisements, and as you can see, also candy bars. And if you have any questions or want more information, please feel free to check out my blog.